Welcome, ZASLOW Show 2.0. It is a Thursday, the 27th of July. Good to have you aboard. We are a Blue Wire podcast presented as always by Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys, title sponsor of everything ZASLOW Show 2.0. 800-747-FREE, 800-747-3733. If you've been involved in any kind of an accident, hit and run, car accident, motorcycle, boating accident, slip and fall, Anidjar and Levine are going to treat you like family. You're going to take care of your health, and they're going to get you the money that you deserve. Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys, 800-747-FREE. That's 800-747-3733. Glad to have you with us here as we're getting close. We're getting close to the end of the week. Everybody looks forward to the weekend. We got a fun show planned today. It's a Thursday, which means we're going to try doing mailbag again. I sent out a tweet. I'm not calling it an X or an X-rated or an X anything, all right? It's a tweet. It's never going to change. I sent out a tweet last night asking for some mailbag questions. Hopefully, we'll start getting a little bit more participation, but I do have enough. I sent it on all my social media platforms. So hopefully, we got a handful of questions we'll get to today. I'd like to make it a thing for Thursdays where we could talk about anything. You could ask me anything, sports-related, music-related, pro wrestling, personal, anything you got, all right? TV, movies, all that good stuff. So we'll do a little bit of mailbag today. I got a poll question today, which we'll get to. It's based on the Dolphins, all right? We're going to do some Dolphins here today because, hey, we're going to do Dolphins every day now from here on out. Really look, we're at the end of July, so we're talking for the next, almost 7 months, 6+ months. We got Dolphins football to talk about. The Dolphins are back. Training camp is going. Next week, I think it's the 3rd. I think Thursday night. Next week, NFL preseason, Hall of Fame game. Now, it's not the Dolphins. I think it's Browns and Jets. But you got the Hall of Fame game. And, of course, Zach Thomas is being inducted into the Hall of Fame next week. And I didn't mention this last week. I think they announced it. They announced the order of the proceedings, the order of the inductions. And usually they say the person who's going last is like the headliner, But if you're not the headliner, which Zach Thomas is not the headliner, you want to go first. You want to get up there and get it out of the way. Zach Thomas is going first. That's huge for the Dolphin fan who's going to be watching because you don't have to sit around waiting through all the speeches, and some of them are long and boring. Zach Thomas is first up. Jimmy Johnson is inducting him. Jimmy is an incredible speaker, so that's going to be a lot of fun. But next week, a week from tonight, you got NFL preseason, Hall of Fame game. And, of course, that means in 2 weeks, you got a Miami Dolphins preseason game, the first of 3. So it's here, baby. We got football going on. All right, we'll circle back to the football. So like I said, we got mailbag today. We got a poll question we're going to get to. It revolves around the Dolphins. I put that on my Twitter feed, @ZASLOW Show. I'm not calling it X. You can go vote on that right now. And also, what we're going to start as well, I don't know if it'll be an every Thursday thing. I do want to make it like a specific day, although Thursday kind of feels like a good day. We're going to do a Dolphins top 5, all right? It could be on anything every week. We're going to do a Dolphins top 5, and that's coming up as well. I'll let you know what that is. We'll get to that in a moment here. So I do want to mention, though, first, big NFL news. I guess it's big. Applies to the Dolphins today. You got Dalvin Cook, who's visiting the New York Jets today. So I'm totally fine, by the way, with Dalvin Cook if he ends up signing with the Jets. That's what our poll question deals with today. So let's get to our poll question for today. I'll give you a quick update here. Polls are open. You guys are coming out. You're voting fast and furious here, all right? @ZASLOW Show, today's poll question. ZASLOW Show 2.0 poll. If Dalvin Cook signs with the Jets, he's meeting with the Jets today. He's on his way. He's flying there this morning. He may already be there. I don't know. I don't have his flight plan. If Dalvin Cook signs with the Jets, the Dolphins fan will, you can vote A, not care. Dolphins don't need him. Or B, be annoyed, can't let him go to a rival. So that's the key, right? Is that he'd be going to the Jets, not some other random team. So either A, the Dolphin fan will not care, Dolphins don't need him, or B, the Dolphin fan will be annoyed, can't let him go to a rival. Right now, the leader with 59% of the vote, the Dolphin fan will be annoyed, can't let him go to a rival. So right now, 59% of you guys vote B, you will be annoyed if he winds up going to the Jets. So go out there, you can go vote on that. There you go. I'm totally fine with Dalvin Cook if he was to sign with the Jets. And I do believe he's going to sign with the Jets. You see the timing, Barkley signed his deal the other day. Yesterday, Aaron Rodgers, he renegotiated $35 million, pay cut, what have you. I don't think it's coincidental. The timing is there. I think Dalvin Cook's on his training camp started. I think Dalvin Cook is on his way to New York to sign with the Jets. I don't think the Jets are bringing him in to meet today to not sign him, to let him leave the building without a deal. It seems too coincidental. Other deals are being made out around the league with running backs, that being Barkley, in your house. Rodgers took a pay cut. I don't know what their salary cap situation is, but that probably frees up a little bit of money right now. In the future, I don't know. I think it's too coincidental. It certainly appears that he is dead set on an AFC East team. And while he wants to go to the Dolphins, look, the Dolphins have a price. They put it out there. And they're like, this is the offer. Very similar, by the way, to what the Miami Heat are doing with Damian Lillard and the Portland Trail Blazers. We would like Damian Lillard. We know he wants us. This is the offer. It feels like the Dolphins are taking a similar tact where we would like Dalvin Cook. We know he wants us. Here is our offer. This is how we value him. And the difference here, though, is Dalvin Cook has other options if he so chooses. The Portland Trail Blazers, they don't seem to have other options. So while the Miami Heat don't have to budge on their offer for Damian Lillard, the Miami Dolphins likely would have to budge on their offer for Dalvin Cook. Except the Dolphins, hey, they got their price. This is what we value Dalvin Cook as. We hope you sign the deal, but this is our offer. Take it or leave it. And it looks like he's going to leave it. It looks like he's going to sign with the Jets. I don't have a problem with him going to the Jets. I don't have a problem with him going to the Jets for a couple reasons. Number one, I think the Jets are going to be a mess. I really do. I think they're going to be now, there is a bias in me. There is also a part of me that is wishing it into existence. But nobody in the NFL has a longer playoff drought than the New York Jets. 12 years. They have not been to the playoffs in 12 years. And look, remember, super high expectations when Brett Favre got to the Jets. They didn't make the playoffs. Dolphins actually won the final game of the season, which was for the division. Dolphins went to New York, kicked their ass, and kept the Jets out of the playoffs. And of course, that was the last time we saw Brett Favre in a Jets uniform. He, of course, then went to Minnesota, where he was very good. But Favre was supposed to be this grand savior for the Jets. Didn't work out. And you know what? If I'm remembering correctly, I think Favre, before he went to the Jets, was a better player than Rodgers is right now going to the Jets. Rodgers is going to drop off, and I feel like we saw that last year, especially in the playoffs. Or it wasn't the playoffs. It was the last game of the year. Remember? They had to win their last four games to make the playoffs. It was all set to do that. That included the win against the Dolphins. It was all set to do that, and the last game of the season was that they were playing the Lions, got their ass kicked, and Rodgers was terrible. Yeah, I think this is the beginning of the downfall for Rodgers. I do. Am I biased about it? Am I wishing it into existence? Totally. I'm very transparent about that. But I also do believe it. So I think the Jets are going to be a mess. And I think it's even funnier if they're a mess after adding another good player in Dalvin Cook. Now I think Dalvin Cook's going to be really good. Dalvin Cook's great. I think Dalvin Cook is still much better. He's so much younger. Dalvin Cook is still much better at what he does, I believe, than Aaron Rodgers is right now still at what he does. But I like the idea. If he's not going to sign with the Dolphins, I'd like him to sign with the Dolphins. But if he's not going to sign with the Dolphins, I hope he signs with the Jets. Because I don't believe in the Jets. I think they're going to be a hot mess this year. And I think it's even funnier if they're a hot mess and a massive disappointment. Once adding another really good player in Dalvin Cook. Bring that expectation even higher for that stupid Jet fan so they could come crashing down even harder. Yeah, so count me as I'm voting A in the ZASLOW Show 2.0 poll today. I don't care if he doesn't sign with the Dolphins, if it's going to the Jets. I don't think the Dolphins need him, and I think it's going to be fun to watch the New York Jets go up in flames. I'm here for it, man. I like it. So, anyway, hey, by the time you're listening to this, you may already know. Dalvin Cook signed with the Jets. How come you're not talking about it? You're in the future. I'm in the past. You have more information right now than I do. As of right now this morning, Dalvin Cook is on his way there. He has not signed with the Jets yet. But I think it's going to be even funnier when the Jets stink. They're an 8-win team. They go 8-9. They're an 8-win team even after adding Dalvin Cook. It was going to be funny enough with just Aaron Rodgers. Go ahead. Sign Dalvin Cook. I'm here for it. I can't wait to watch it. I think you got two teams in that division that are great. I think the Dolphins are going to be so good this year. Dolphins, Bills. I think the Dolphins will win the division, by the way. That's right. We haven't really talked about that yet on ZASLOW Show 2.0. We're getting into that stuff now. Hey, we're in Dolphin season now, all right? Like I said, we got 6+ months. We're going to be talking Dolphin football every day. Yeah, I think the Dolphins win the AFC East. I think the Bills are right there, though. And then I think there's a drop-off. I think the Jets are an 8-win team at best. I think the Patriots are going to be terrible. 4 or 5-win team. Terrible. Which is weird. I mean, how about that? The New England Patriots, and this is an interesting thought. How about this? You got 3 teams. Forget the Patriots. You got 3 teams with very high expectations going into this year. Jets, Dolphins, Bills. 3 teams, very high expectation. One of them is going to finish 3rd in their division. Now, 3rd in the division can make the playoffs. If you get 3 teams from one division, that can happen. It's rare. But one of those teams is going to finish, one of those teams with high expectation. All 3 of those teams, I think you could say all 3 of those teams have Super Bowl aspirations, right? The Bills obviously do. The Dolphins do as well. The hype train is moving so fast for the Dolphins. And the Jets, look, they acquired Aaron Rodgers not to just sneak into the playoffs. They acquired Aaron Rodgers to win a Super Bowl. You got 3 teams in the AFC East with Super Bowl aspirations. And one of them is going to finish 3rd in the division. That's kind of shocking when you think about it that way, right? Like, one of those teams, because that team probably won't make the playoffs, and it's going to be the Jets. One of those teams with Super Bowl aspirations is going to finish 3rd in their division. And if the Patriots don't finish last in the AFC East, which they will, but if the Patriots don't finish last in the AFC East, one of those 3 teams with Super Bowl aspirations is going to finish last in the division. That's kind of shocking, right? That's kind of shocking. It's not going to be the Dolphins. It could be the Jets. Jets going to be a mess. I love it. So go right now. You can go vote at ZASLOW Show on Twitter. You can always hit me up. I love hearing from you guys, but we got the ZASLOW Show 2.0 poll question up today at ZASLOW Show. Go check that out. Guys, if you have a leak in your home and you don't know where it's coming from, I've been telling you about water cleanup of Florida for months now. Why am I telling you about water cleanup of Florida? Well, look, if you have a leak in your home, you don't take care of it right away, that could grow to a huge problem. You need to call or text Water Cleanup of Florida immediately. 954-900-8635. My boys, the Greensteins, they have over 60 years of combined experience. Their team at Water Cleanup of Florida is prepared to handle all types of leak detection issues. And here's what's going to happen, all right? Once they locate the leak, they're not done, all right? They're going to locate the leak. They're going to fully restore, clean, dry all the damaged areas. you don't need to call in anyone else. That's my favorite part. See, Water Cleanup of Florida, fully licensed, insured, and certified to provide the one-stop shopping all of us are looking for. You don't bring in any other contractors. Water Cleanup of Florida handles the entire project from start to finish. They serve the entire Tri-County area, wherever you are in Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach County, 954-900-8635, or go to WCUFL.com. That's really easy to remember. Water Cleanup of Florida, 954-900-8635. Water Cleanup of Florida, we clean up your schmutz. Now, once you call Water Cleanup of Florida, yeah, you're going to know, hey, this issue's done with. It's not turning into a big deal. And you're going to sleep better. One of the reasons you're going to sleep better is because you've been listening to ZASLOW Show 2.0 and you're sleeping on sheets and giggles. The only sheets you're ever going to use now. Everybody knows the saying, once you go sheets and giggles, you never go back. Everybody knows that. Sheetsgiggles.com. Become like the ZASLOW family. You're going to become one of over 100,000 Americans who are sleeping on sheets and giggles. My man Colin, he's the founder and CEO of Sheets and Giggles. He did it. He created the naturally softer, cooler, more breathable sheets that we've all been looking for. Sheetsgiggles.com. Use promo code ZASLOW upon your first checkout, and you'll get 20% off your order. And you'll love hearing this. Sheets and Giggles, they care about the environment, all right? Sustainably made from the wood of eucalyptus trees. For every tree they're using, they're replanting 2 more. Hey, Sheetsgiggles.com. You're going to get the best sleep that you've ever gotten. Matter of fact, I don't even want you to take my word for it. Go to Sheetsgiggles.com. You're going to purchase some new sheets, and you're going to be like, wow, that's ZASLOW. He always tells the truth. Always tells the truth. Sheets and Giggles. Go to Sheetsgiggles.com. All right. So, like I said, I got a Dolphins top 5 for you here, which we're going to start every Thursdays. We'll get to that in a second. Last night, a couple things I want to hit on from last night before we move on here. Sandy Alcantara. 7-1 win for the Marlins yesterday afternoon, so they get a split in Tampa. Tampa's got, I believe they have the best record in baseball. No, they have the best record in the, they have the number 1 wild card team. They do not have the best record in all of baseball. I think the Orioles right now are still in first, actually, in the AL East. Crazy, right? So, the Marlins get a split in Tampa. They win 7-1 yesterday. But most important, really for the first, I think it's Sandy's first complete game. Well, it's a shutout. But it's his first complete game this season. He had a few complete games last year. Everybody knows that. If Sandy's going to look like that now the second part of the season, that's enormous. That's the guy we've been waiting for. That was the thing we were saying when the team was 14 games over 500, which now feels forever ago, where it's like, hey, once Sandy gets going, now we're really going to be rolling. Well, I mean, Sandy now, hopefully now he's getting going. But the Marlins blew the whole 14 games over 500 deal. Like, they totally gave that away. So the Marlins now, 7 over, 55-48. They're a half game back of the final wild card spot. Right now, the 3 wild card spots are San Francisco, Philadelphia, Cincinnati. The Marlins are tied with Arizona. Both of them are a half game back of Philly and Cincinnati, a whole game back of the wild card leader, which is San Francisco. And that's really what it is, because the next team is the Chicago Cubs, who are 4.5 back, and they're a game under 500. So it's really 5 teams who are competing for 3 wild card spots. And the Marlins right now are a half game back. So yesterday afternoon, Sandy with the big time performance. You love to see it. Last night, I didn't watch the first half, I watched the second half. And I knew that Netherlands scored early, and I checked my phone because I wanted to watch the second half. Second half had just started, and the U.S. Women's National Team World Cup was still down 1-0. I was like, all right, we got to put this on. So, U.S. Women's National Team, I put it on, and about 5 minutes after I put it on, the captain of the team, what's her name, Lindsey Horan, she gets tackled really hard. She's on the ground for several minutes. Right after that, the U.S. earns a corner, okay? Great ball into the box. Beautiful header from Horan, scores. Right after she was on the ground after being fouled. Scores a header to tie the game at 1. That was a badass moment. So the score held up 1-1. There you have it. And right now and that ends, by the way, a 13-game winning streak for the U.S. Women's National Team. in the World Cup. So now, through 2 of what's 3 match play games, group play games, the U.S. now has 4 points. Now, also in their division is Portugal and Vietnam. They played, I think that game just ended. They played earlier today, or maybe it was, you know what? It was probably like the 1 a.m. game last night, actually. Portugal wins 2-0 over Vietnam. So Portugal now has 3 points, I believe. Netherlands and U.S. have 4 points in their group. Let's just check here for accuracy purposes. All right, Group E, yes. United States, they have 4. Netherlands have 4. Portugal 3. Vietnam 0. So Vietnam's out. And now it's between U.S., Netherlands, and Portugal. So U.S. in their final game, which I think is Tuesday next week, U.S. plays Portugal. Netherlands play Vietnam. If the U.S. gets a... All right, so if the U.S. gets a draw, they advance into the round robin. U.S. just needs a draw because then no matter what happens, Netherlands can win the group then. But if U.S. gets a draw, boom, they're in because then Portugal would still finish a point behind. Obviously, so U.S. gets a draw or a win. If U.S. is to win the group, U.S. would need a draw and a Netherlands loss to the so far winless Vietnam. If U.S. wins and Netherlands gets a draw, or if Netherlands also wins and we're talking goal differential, then U.S. can win the group. The most important part is because the U.S. did not win yesterday, their third game here against Portugal has a lot of meaning. They control their own destiny, though. All they got to do is get 1 point, and they move on to the playoff round. So there you have it. That's what's going on with the U.S. women's national team. I love watching that team play. They have several really good players, all right? And now it's different from the men's game. I feel like the men are a lot better with the foot skills. Technically, the men are a lot better. You're getting a lot more power on the ball. There are shots that are taken sometimes from out the 18 with the men. You're not getting that so much with the women. But, man, the women are... Couple things. They're very physical. And they don't flop as much. When they go to the ground, they don't always stay on the ground and writhe in pain. They go to the ground, they get up, and they keep playing. They don't do the flopping as much as the men. So, overall, though, I love watching women's soccer. I love watching the women's national team. They're probably disappointed. I don't know what the line was on the game last night. They're probably disappointed with the draw. But the fact of the matter is, they control their own destiny, get a point against Portugal on Tuesday, and boom, you move on. Also, tonight, we're going, me, my wife, we're going to the Dania Improv. You know we love going to the Improv. By the way, really excited. We had him on the show last week, Brad Williams. We're going to see Brad Williams. I think it's a week from tonight. Yeah, on the 3rd. We're going to see Brad Williams next week. He is at is it Miami Improv? I think it's at the Miami Improv. So Brad Williams is going to be here next week. Super excited to see him again. You guys should go check him out. Tonight, though, we're going to Dania Improv. Going to see Dan Soder. I've never seen Dan Soder. I'm hoping it's going to be a fun time. Dan Soder, one of the stars of one of my wife and my favorite show, Billions. Billions on Showtime. If you watch Billions, he plays Mafi. So he is at the Dania Improv tonight. We're going to check him out. That'll be fun. I met him one time. It's funny because, you know, I've told you guys this before, right? Like, this is a weird thing that pro wrestling fans experience, right? So pro wrestling fans, growing up, I never had anyone to talk about wrestling with. And it was like the thing that I kept to myself. It was embarrassing to love pro wrestling. And it was just something that I did on my own. Never had anyone to talk about with. And most people who love wrestling, especially who are my age, all had that same experience. So Dan Soder, actually, he was at Levitard's wedding. So this is at Levitard's wedding, like, I don't know, it's like 3 years ago or something. And Dan Soder was there. He was one of the guests plus one. And obviously I recognize him because we love Billions. But I didn't care to talk to him about Billions. I know he's a huge pro wrestling fan. He plays a pro wrestling fan on Billions. Like, his character is a wrestling fan there. But I also happen to know he's a huge pro wrestling fan. And this is how it goes when you're a pro wrestling fan. You know this is good. pro wrestling fans love meeting other pro wrestling fans just so they could have someone to chat about it with. 5-10 minutes. Let's talk about wrestling. It's like, did we just become best friends? Yes. That's always what happens. So I hadn't even met him yet. I don't even know what I was going about. Like, whatever. Not a big deal. But he's there. He's at this wedding. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go introduce myself. And I walk right up to him. I tap him on the shoulder. I swear, this is exactly how it went down. I walk up to him. I tap him on the shoulder. I go, hey, man, I'm Jonathan. Let's talk about wrestling. And I swear that's exactly, hey, man, let's talk wrestling. And his eyes lit up, which is exactly what happens anytime you meet someone and you find out that they also love pro wrestling, and now you have someone to talk about it with. His eyes lit up. He's like, yes, let's do it. And we literally stood there for the next 25 minutes just talking about wrestling. And this was like, it was like 3 years ago, so it was really early on in AEW. And this was before I started watching AEW. And he's telling me how amazing AEW is. That's the only part of the conversation I remember. But otherwise, we just stood there. We didn't know each other. Just talked about wrestling for the next 25, 30 minutes. It's a weird, dorky bond that pro wrestling fans can have with each other like that. Anyway, I'm hoping he's funny. I have never seen his act. So we're going to see Dan Soder tonight at the Dania Improv. And you go check them out. Those guys at the Improv, Miami Improv, Dania Improv, they're always really good to me and my wife. So looking forward to going to that show tonight. Guys, if you're looking for homeowners insurance, you feel like you're paying a little bit too much money. I mean, come on, look no further. I've been telling you, I've been using Brunt Insurance and Financial Services for my homeowners insurance for about 10 years now. And I never have to worry about it for a couple reasons. Number one, I know that I'm getting the best rate out there. Number two, I know that I'm getting all the coverage on my home that I need. God forbid there's some type of disaster. I don't have to lay awake at night thinking about it. Look, I sleep comfortably because of sheets and giggles, but if I had to worry about my insurance coverage with my home, I'm not even sure sheets and giggles would have me sleeping sound. 954-589-2204, bruntinsurance.com. And whatever area you're listening to, we got people listening to ZASLOW Show 2.0 from all over the state of Florida. Well, luckily for you, wherever you're calling from, Brunt Insurance has several offices throughout the entire state. We're talking from Pensacola all the way down to the Keys. Brunt Insurance is delivering you comprehensive insurance tailored exactly to your needs. If you're looking for affordable care and the best coverage, not just on your home, what about your car, motorcycle, or boat? 954-589-2204. You're making the right call. Greg Brunt, my guy, and his team at Brunt Insurance, they have the expertise and the experience to get the right coverage for you. And that includes comprehensive policies on both trailers and motorhomes. All right. Hey, when it comes to homeowners insurance or renters insurance or condo insurance, there are so many options out there. It can make your head spin. Don't worry. Brunt Insurance specializes in making the confusing crystal clear. That's right. Bruntinsurance.com, 954-589-2204. The most comprehensive coverage anywhere, the best rate out there. Bruntinsurance.com, 954-589-2204. All right. Let's do a little bit of NFL here, and then I want to get to today's, or this week. I think we're doing it on Thursdays. Then we're going to get to this week's Dolphins top 5. A couple NFL things that I want to get to here. Number one, I'm watching First Take this morning. I got First Take. Oh, Zaz, why are you watching First? Why not? They go over all the big topics, you know? I feel like I get that. I get that. Like, hey, I was watching First Take this morning. Well, that's your first mistake. I like watching First Take. I agree with very little of what's being said, like the example I'm going to give you, but I like getting a sense of what all the topics are. Anyway, so I'm watching First Take this morning, and Stephen A. Smith is on with Ryan Clark, and I think maybe Harry Douglas also. And Stephen A. Smith wants to make the comparison. Ryan Clark totally blew up his spot, rightfully so, but Stephen A. Smith wants to make this comparison. And I saw this stat out there, so I knew where Stephen A. Smith is going. Stephen A. tried to make it as if it was his stat. It's not. He got it from somewhere else. I saw it as well. So I was prepared for this, and that's why it was funny that Ryan Clark blew up his spot. but they're talking about the running backs, right? They're talking about the money that the running backs are not getting. Now, I had this conversation a couple days ago with NFL super agent David Cantor, and we talked about this. I feel like there's this impression out there that NFL running backs are being blackballed. That's not the case. NFL teams just aren't valuing that position the way that they used to and as much as other positions. So they've essentially done a market correction. And it's not that they don't want to pay running backs. They don't want to pay running backs what they used to. So when, for example, Saquon Barkley, if he was looking for a multi-year deal, $12 or $13 million a season, multi-year deal, the Giants don't want to pay that. That doesn't mean that the Giants wouldn't pay Saquon Barkley a multi-year deal worth $6, $7, $8 million a season. But Barkley doesn't want that. And other big-time running backs like Dalvin Cook, they don't want that. NFL teams are still willing to pay running backs, just not what you want. Just not what they were paying. So anyway, and I saw this stat out there a couple days ago, and Stephen A is trying to make it his own, you know? So Stephen A makes the comparison. The average salary for a running back. Well, actually start out by saying the average salary for a kicker, a place kicker in the NFL is $2.8 million. And Ryan Clark sees exactly where Stephen A is going because Stephen A didn't find this stat. He saw it the same way I did, the same way Ryan Clark probably did. And Ryan Clark knows exactly where he's going. So he goes, yeah, but Stephen A, you're about to say the running backs, but there are 4 running backs on every single team. 1 or 2 of them never get carries in a game. And so totally blows up Stephen A's spot, but Stephen A still tries to, drudge forward with his nonsensical point here. So he goes on. Isn't there a problem when the average salary for a kicker, a place kicker, is $2.8 million, and the average salary for a running back, not starting running back, for a running back? See, that would make more sense here. Give me the average salary for a starting running back. You gave me the average salary for a starting place kicker. Yeah, there's only 1 on the team. Give me the average salary for a starting running back. But no, the average salary for a place kicker, $2.8 million. The average salary for a running back, $1.1 million. And Ryan Clark, it's not impressive to Ryan Clark because he totally sees through this phony baloney stat while Stephen A is trying to make it sound like it's something interesting when it's not. You're talking about running backs. There are 4 on a team. The starting place kicker is a lot more important than the second, third, and fourth running back. Definitely 3rd and 4th. But maybe the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th running back on a team. The starting place kicker, he's the only one. You're taking the average salary of all running backs on all teams. So you're taking the average salary of place kickers, 32 of them. And you're taking the average salary of running backs, probably approximately 128 of them. How is that logical? Give me the average salary of a place kicker compared to the average salary of a starting running back. If you give me the average salary of a place kicker and the average salary of all 4 running backs on every team in the entire National Football League, it's a ridiculous stat. It's completely misleading. Ryan Clark totally blew up his spot, though. Stephen A. Smith kept it going. Decided to keep going with his nonsensical point. Another thing I wanted to mention here. So, I told you how yesterday, the NFL.com, NFL Network, every day they're releasing 10 top 100 NFL players this year. They did 100 to 91 the other day. They did 90 to 81 yesterday, which you saw. Number 83 was Teron Armstead. Number 82 was Tua Tagovailoa. Number 81 was Christian Wilkins. And I told you how you're definitely going to have 3 more Dolphins. You're going to have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Ramsey in the top 20 for sure. You're going to have Waddle, and my guess is he's around 50 to 60. Well, today, you had 80 to 71 released. No Dolphins were there. Okay, so tomorrow will be 70 to 61. You might get Waddle. I think he's going to be between 50 and 60. But you had no Dolphins today. Now, something that did stand out in today's rankings, numbers 80 to 71, was coming in at number 72, Lamar Jackson. Why is that interesting? Well, it's the lowest he's been rated, since after his rookie year, I guess, right? Lamar Jackson comes in at 72. And here's what I'm talking about. When yesterday we went over the Herbert contract, which came in, as far as guaranteed money, came in a little bit under, like by $5 million, just under the guaranteed money Lamar Jackson got. And that's fine. Look, Justin Herbert's going to be ranked ahead of Lamar Jackson here, and there's a reason for that. But between the two of them, Lamar Jackson's better. Take Lamar Jackson over Justin Herbert, no matter what these rankings say, because these rankings are clearly being based off of most recent performance. So the point that I'm trying to make here, like I said yesterday, Justin Herbert's contract shows you, if Justin Herbert came in and got $200 million guaranteed, all right, then we could have that conversation where Lamar Jackson is being treated unfairly. Because remember, that was a big headline. He's being treated unfairly. No, he's not. Number one, you saw Justin Herbert's contract yesterday coming in under Lamar Jackson's deal. And Lamar Jackson was clearly being unrealistic because he wanted that Deshaun Watson money when that is not the barometer. That is a phony baloney outlier contract. And it also shows you the point that I'm making today is, why would Lamar Jackson, who bet on himself last year, why would Lamar Jackson, who bet on himself and lost, when you bet on yourself and you have a down year and can't finish the year because you're injured, which is a major concern for your franchise, your injury history, and you bet on yourself, why would those factors then lead to you winning your bet and getting the record-breaking contract that you sought? No, you lost the bet. This is what happens. And it shows you here how he was being unrealistic, wanting the Deshaun Watson contract, that unrealistic phony baloney contract, when he was just ranked number 72 in the NFL. And you got to figure, considering guys like Herbert are going to wind up being ahead of him, there's probably going to be about 10 or so quarterbacks who are ranked ahead of him here. So based on the season that Lamar Jackson just had, the NFL.com is telling you there are 71 better players in the league than him and probably about a dozen quarterbacks that are better than him right now. Why would Lamar Jackson get the richest contract in NFL history if that were the case? He was always being unrealistic. He got the contract he deserves. He's an MVP. He's been to a Super Bowl. But he didn't deserve that Deshaun Watson contract. A, because it's phony baloney. And B, he didn't have a good year. So that's what stood out to me today with those rankings. He comes in at number 72. And for me, kind of confirming he was being super unrealistic with his contract negotiation this year. All right, here's what else we got for you. For the first time, we're going to do this every week. We're going to do a Dolphins top 5. I think we're going to do it on Thursdays. Here's today's Dolphins top 5. Here is the topic. Today's Dolphins top 5. Dolphins top 5 players with something to prove. That's today's top 5. Dolphins top 5 players with something to prove. We will count down from 5 to 1 for dramatic purposes. Number 5. This is going to be a co-number 5. All right. Number 5 for dramatic purposes. Austin Jackson / Liam Eichenberg. I have those two together at number 5 as players with something to prove, because it kind of feels like, no, they were not the same draft class, but it kind of feels like they're linked together. We got the left tackle position taken care of. We got the center position taken care of. We got the right guard position taken care of. Left guard, Eichenberg. Right tackle, Jackson. Major question marks. These were 2 high draft picks. one in the second round. That's a high draft pick for a lineman. One in the second round, one in the first round, which was a disaster. Well, I shouldn't say disaster because Tua looks like he's going to be great, but Jackson Igbenogany, it's like a total wasted 2 out of 3 first-round picks. Now, I'm not going to get crazy about that anymore because for the most part, it really looks like Chris Greer knows what he's doing, even though he completely fumbled that year's draft. But Jackson and Eichenberg feel like they're kind of linked at the hip, and this is it for the two of them. So Jackson returns from injury. Eichenberg, he had injuries last year as well. If those guys can even come close to what they're supposed to be, this would be a great offensive line. But either way, those guys together have something major to prove. It feels like their career is on the line. No more chances after this. Number 4, Christian Wilkins. What do you mean Christian Wilkins has something to prove? Well, Christian Wilkins has something to prove here because Christian Wilkins is trying to get that massive D-tackle contract. We know Christian Wilkins is great, but you want to talk about like betting on yourself? Christian Wilkins, if he has a monster year, if he has the kind of year he had last year, if he has an even better year than last year, he's going to get a very rich D-tackle contract. So top 5 players with something to prove. Number 4, Christian Wilkins. We know he's awesome, but he's looking for that major contract extension with the Dolphins. Number 3, Dolphins with players who have something big to prove. Number 3, Tua Tagovailoa silencing the doubters. Going into last year, Tua had all the doubters as far as can he be a franchise guy. He showed last year he can be a franchise guy as far as his level of play. Now, he needs to show he could be a franchise guy as far as his availability. If it wasn't bad enough that he gets knick-knack, that he's I don't want to say brittle, but he gets injuries, now the most important injury of them all, we're talking head injuries, which are super unpredictable. Tua learning how to fall, apparently jiu-jitsu in the offseason. You see he's bigger physique-wise. And, hey, he knows what Justin Herbert just got yesterday. Well, guess what? Justin Herbert was picked after him. Tua, silencing the rest of the doubters going into this year, got a lot to prove. Number 3. Number 3 on top 5 Dolphins. Whoa, who's number 2? Number 2, Miami Dolphin players with something to prove. Bradley Chubb. Yep. Dolphins gave up a lot to get him. He did not perform last year the way that it was expected. Bradley Chubb showing why they traded for him, why they gave up what they gave him, and why they gave him the big money. New defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio. You got training camp, you got preseason, you got all the time in the world to get acclimated with your new teammates. Dolphins' top 5 players with something to prove, coming in at number 2 is Bradley Chubb. And number 1, whoa, who's number 1? Number 1, Miami Dolphins with players with something to prove. The number 1 Dolphin with something to prove this year, we've been talking about him a lot recently, Xavier Howard. Xavier Howard has the most to prove out of any Miami Dolphin because after last year, an injury-riddled season where his play took a major dive, can Xavier Howard, who is now healthy again, reassert himself as one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL? So from a personal standpoint, Xavier Howard's got a lot to prove. I'm not a number 2 cornerback. I'm still a number 1 running quarterback. We got 2 number 1 cornerbacks on this team. And if that's the case, then that's a major plus for the Dolphins. If they don't have a 1 and a 2 cornerback, they have a 1A and a 1B. They got 2 number 1 cornerbacks in Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard. So the player on the Miami Dolphins with the most to prove this year. Look, cornerbacks, these guys aren't Deion Sanders anymore. These cornerbacks, they're amazing, usually like 3-4 years, and then they take a nosedive. You remember what happened with Darrelle Revis? Revis Island, he was the best, took a nosedive. That happens at that position. Xavier Howard, if he proves that nosedive is not starting just yet, that's a monster plus for the Dolphins. He's got the most to prove. out of anyone on this team going into this season. So again, Dolphins top 5 players with something to prove. Number 5, co-number 5s, Austin Jackson and Liam Eichenberg. Number 4, Christian Wilkins. Number 3, Tua Tagovailoa. Number 2, Bradley Chubb. Number 1, Xavier Howard. And that right there is this week's Miami Dolphins top 5.